gotten into explaining something, something you're totally stoked about, an idea you put a ton of thought into,
Hmm.
but then it hits you. It's like you're talking to a brick wall.
Oh, yeah.
You're both speaking English, but the message is just not getting through. It's so frustrating.
Absolutely. It's like you're on different wavelengths.
Exactly. So today we are going to tackle that. How to make sure your point of view, your perspective is actually understood. And not just heard, but really understood,
Right, right. Because it's one thing to just speak fluently, but we're going for purposeful communication, like crystal clear.
Exactly. So we're going to dig into why it can be so hard to get your point across. And then, even better, give you actual techniques, things you can use to make sure you connect with whoever you're talking to.
It's about building that bridge.
Yes, and we'll look at how to structure your thoughts in a way that makes sense. And even how your tone of voice, the way you say things, can make a huge difference.
Because sometimes it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Totally. So if you're someone who wants to communicate more effectively, more confidently, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more of this stuff.
Absolutely. And while you're at it, tell us in the comments, what's the biggest challenge you face when trying to explain your point of view?
We really want to hear from you. All right, let's jump in. I think one thing that's really important to recognize is that speaking clearly and speaking fluently, they're not the same thing.
No, not at all. You can be a super smooth talker, but your message can still be a jumbled mess.
Exactly. It's like having all the right words, but no clear sentence. So you can talk a lot, but if your thoughts are all over the place, whoever's listening is going to get lost.
For sure, they'll tune out.
Totally. So from what we've seen, there are three main reasons why our communication breaks down when we're trying to make our point. The first is a lack of structure. It's like you're just throwing out random pieces of information without connecting them in a way that makes sense.
Right, like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Exactly. And when we don't have that logical flow, it makes it really hard for people to follow our reasoning, to understand how things connect.
And the second thing that can really trip us up is our word choice.
Oh, absolutely. Like using words that are vague or confusing, or maybe even jargon that the other person doesn't understand.
Right, it's like speaking a different language.
Exactly. And the third really important factor, and this one's huge, is failing to connect with the listener.
This is a big one.
It is. It's like there's a difference between talking at someone and talking with them. If you're not taking their perspective into account, if you're not thinking about how they're going to hear what you're saying, it's unlikely to land the way you want it to.
No, you're just talking into the void.
Exactly. So have you ever felt like you were being totally clear, but the person you were talking to just wasn't getting it? What do you think was going on there? Let us know in the comments. We're really curious. Now let's switch gears a bit and talk about what we can do to fix these communication breakdowns.
Yes, let's get practical.
This is where it gets good. So, one really simple but powerful technique that we love is called the PSR method. And by the way, if you're finding this helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes, hit that subscribe button. So PSR stands for point, support, repeat.
That's it. Point, support, repeat.
It's a really straightforward way to organize your thoughts so that whoever's listening can follow along and remember what you're saying.
Exactly. So the point is your opening statement. It's where you clearly and concisely state what you believe, your main idea. Get right to the heart of it.
Like cut to the chase.
Yes. And then support. This is where you give a reason or two, or an example, to back up your point. Think of it like evidence that supports your claim.
Right, so it's not just an empty statement. You're giving it weight.
Exactly. And then finally, repeat. This is where you restate your main point, but maybe in slightly different words. This helps to reinforce your message and make it more memorable.
It's like driving the point home.
Yeah. So let's say, for example, someone asks you, what do you think about working remotely?
Oh, that's a good one.
Right. So using the PSR method, you might say.
Go for it.
Okay. Point. I believe that working remotely has a lot of advantages for both employees and companies.
Okay.
Support. One of the biggest benefits is that it can significantly reduce commuting time, which frees up time for other things, and it can also lead to a better work-life balance.
Right.
Repeat. So overall, I think remote work is a positive trend that can lead to a happier and more productive workforce.
Perfect. See how that works.
Right. You're not just rambling, you're structuring your thoughts. What do you think about the PSR method? Have you ever tried it? Let us know in the comments. Okay, moving on to another awesome tool for clear communication, This one's all about using linking words and phrases.
Oh yeah, those little connectors can make a huge difference.
They really can, and they make your speech sound more fluent and sophisticated, almost like a pro. And if you like these tips, remember to hit that like button and subscribe. Now, think about how you can use these to guide your listener. For example, if you want to express your opinion, you might start with something like, "from my perspective."
Exactly. Or, in my opinion.
Yes, and if you're going to state the main reason for something, you could say, "the primary reason for this is..."
The most significant reason is.
Yeah,
There are so many options.
there are. And to give an example, you could say something like, "for instance," or "a good example of this is..."
To illustrate this point.
Exactly. And when you want to contrast something, you could say, "however," or "on the other hand."
Conversely.
Right. And when you want to sum things up, you might say, "to summarize,"
Right.
or "in conclusion."
Ultimately.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you see how these little words and phrases help the listener follow your train of thought. It keeps things organized and clear.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one really good exercise is to pick one opinion each day and try to explain it using 3 or 4 different linking words.
I love that. It's like a little communication workout.
Right. And if you want to go even further, record yourself and listen back. See how you sound.
It's a great tip. So tell us in the comments, which of these linking words do you find most useful? Or maybe which new ones will you try to use more? All right, let's shift gears again and talk about something that can make or break how your message is received, your tone of voice.
Oh, yes. Because how you say something can be just as important as what you say, if not more so.
100%. I mean, you could have the most brilliant idea in the world, but if you deliver it with a snarky or aggressive tone, people are going to tune you out.
They'll put up a wall.
They will.
Yeah.
And this is especially important when you're talking about sensitive topics or maybe you disagree with someone.
Absolutely. You want to keep things calm and respectful, open to discussion.
Exactly. And even when you feel strongly about something, it's super important to avoid sounding like you're attacking the other person.
Right. Like you're not trying to win an argument, you're trying to have a conversation.
Yes. And one way to do that is to use softer language. Like instead of saying "you're wrong," you could say, "I understand your point, but I see things a little differently."
Right. Or, "That's an interesting perspective. I have a slightly different take on it."
Exactly. You're acknowledging their viewpoint while still expressing your own.
And don't forget about intonation. The way your voice rises and falls when you speak.
Oh, yeah, that makes a big difference.
Like if you end a sentence on a high note, it can sound like you're unsure of yourself.
Or like you're asking a question.
Right. But if you end on a lower note, it sounds more confident and authoritative.
And another simple but effective tip is to emphasize key words in your sentences. This helps to keep the listener engaged and draws attention to the most important parts of your message.
It's like adding a little punch to your speech.
Exactly. So how do you adjust your tone when you're talking about something you're passionate about? Let us know in the comments. And if you're enjoying this chat, don't forget to subscribe for more communication tips.
All right, moving on to another really useful tool for being polite and persuasive at the same time, modal verbs. And if you're digging this, give us a thumbs up.
Modal verbs. Those sound kind of complicated.
They're not actually. They're words like should, could, might, would, and may. And they can really help you to express your opinions in a more respectful and nuanced way.
Okay, I see. So instead of saying something like, "that's the wrong way to do," you might say, "maybe we should consider a different approach."
Exactly. It's less confrontational and more inviting.
I get it. It's about leaving room for discussion.
Exactly. Or instead of saying, "do this," you might say, "this might be a good way to proceed."
So you're offering a suggestion rather than a command.
Exactly. And this makes people more likely to listen to your ideas.
It's like you're inviting them to collaborate rather than dictating to them.
Right. So a good exercise to try is to take 5 of your strong opinions and rewrite them using modal verbs to make them sound more respectful and open.
Oh, that's interesting. I'm going to try that. So our question for you is, have you ever noticed that using softer language helps you to get your point across more effectively? Tell us about it in the comments.
Okay, let's talk about how the structure of your sentences can actually influence how persuasive you are.
Oh, yeah. Sentence structure is a powerful tool. It's like the architecture of your message.
Exactly. Certain structures can really help to highlight cause and effect relationships, make clear comparisons, or even acknowledge opposing viewpoints in a graceful way.
Right. So, for example, if you want to explain why something is important, you might use a sentence like, I believe this is crucial because.
Or as a result of this,
Yeah.
we can see that.
Exactly. That clearly shows the connection between your ideas and their consequences.
And if you're comparing two things, you might say something like, while option A has some benefits, option B is generally more effective due to. Although option A is a possibility, option B is often a better choice because.
Perfect. And if you want to acknowledge the other side of an argument before presenting your own, you could say, although I understand the argument for X, I still believe that Y is the better option because.
That shows that you've considered different perspectives.
Exactly. And when you're ready to wrap things up and state your final position, you might say something like, therefore, I think this approach is the most logical one.
It's like putting a nice, neat bow on your argument.
I like that. So, practicing these different sentence structures can really help you to express complex ideas in a way that's easy to understand. And it can even train your brain to think more logically and persuasively.
Like a mental workout.
Totally. So, which of these sentence structures do you find most persuasive? Share an example with us in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more communication tips and tricks.
All right, we've talked a lot about how to express yourself effectively, but one of the most fundamental principles of good communication is understanding the other person's perspective.
That is so key. It's like the golden rule of communication. If you want people to understand you, you have to show them that you understand them.
Exactly. It's about building that connection.
Yes. And a simple way to do that is to use phrases that show you're listening and that you get what they're saying.
Right, like, I understand what you mean, or that makes sense.
Exactly. Or I hear what you're saying and.
These little acknowledgments make a huge difference.
They really do. It shows that you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, but that you're actually listening and processing what they're saying.
And this makes them more likely to listen to you.
It's like you're building a bridge of understanding. So think about a time when you felt truly heard by someone. What did they do or say that made you feel that way? Let us know in the comments. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, let's talk about some essential practices that can really level up your communication skills. The first one is the power of listening. And I know it sounds obvious, but we're talking about active listening.
Right, not just passively hearing words, but actually engaging with the speaker.
Exactly. Active listening means giving your full attention, making eye contact, nodding your head, and using those phrases we just talked about, like I see or I understand.
It's about being present in the conversation.
Yes. And it shows respect, and it turns the conversation into a two-way street. Everyone feels valued and heard.
Absolutely. Another crucial practice is managing your own emotions.
Oh yeah, that can be tricky.
It can, because strong emotions, whether they're positive or negative, can cloud our judgment and make it hard to communicate clearly.
For sure. Like if you're super excited or really frustrated about something, your tone might get more intense and your language might get more charged, and that can make it hard for the other person to hear your message.
Right. So try to speak with calm confidence. Use phrases like, let me share my view on this, or I feel differently about that, and here's why.
It's about acknowledging your emotions without letting them hijack the conversation.
Exactly. And another super effective technique is using visuals and analogies.
Oh, analogies are awesome.
They are. They help to make abstract ideas more concrete and easier to understand. Like, remember our earlier example. Instead of saying, too much multitasking reduces productivity, you could say, trying to do 5 things at once is like juggling eggs. You'll probably drop them all.
That's so much more vivid and memorable.
Right. And you can also use real-life examples, case studies, or even draw a quick diagram. Visuals can really help people to grasp your meaning.
They bring things to life.
Absolutely. Now let's talk about cultural sensitivity. It's so important to remember that communication styles can vary widely across different cultures.
Oh yeah, what might be considered direct and to the point in one culture could be seen as rude or aggressive in another.
Exactly. So it's really helpful to use polite phrases like, would you mind if I shared a different point of view? Or, I respect that. I just see things a little differently.
It's all about being respectful and adapting your style to fit the context.
Exactly. Another important practice is simplifying complex thoughts. Sometimes we use jargon or really complicated sentences because we want to sound smart, but it can actually make it harder for people to understand us.
So true. It's better to break down big ideas into smaller, more digestible chunks.
Right. Instead of saying something like, the multifaceted implications of globalization on socioeconomic stratification require further empirical analysis. You could say, globalization affects rich and poor countries differently. In some places, it creates jobs. In others, it can increase poverty. That's what I want to talk about.
And much clearer.
Right. Simplicity is key for understanding. And don't forget about your body language.
Oh yeah, that speaks volumes.
It does. Open gestures, good eye contact, and an upright posture can really project confidence and approachability.
While things like fidgeting, crossing your arms, or looking away can make you seem unsure or disinterested.
Right. And your facial expressions should match your words to convey your emotions authentically.
It's all about aligning your verbal and nonverbal communication. Now, another thing that people often struggle with is expressing their opinions clearly.
Yes, and sometimes it's just a matter of not having the right vocabulary.
Exactly. So it's really helpful to learn and practice phrases like, from my perspective. I believe that. It seems to me that. Or, one reason I think that is.
Building your vocabulary for expressing opinions can really boost your confidence.
Totally. And finally, let's talk about pausing and pacing.
Those are often overlooked, but so important.
I know, right? A lot of people either speak too fast or too slow, and both can make it hard to understand.
Pausing at the right moments gives your listener time to process what you've said, and it can add emphasis to key points. Try pausing after you make your main point, before you give an example, or when you want the listener to think about what you've just said.
Those are great tips. And it's also important to practice speaking at a pace that's clear and easy to follow.
Right, and veering your pace can keep the listener engaged.
So many good things to keep in mind. Don't forget to subscribe for more in-depth communication strategies, and tell us in the comments, what's one new technique you've learned today that you're excited to try out? All right, as we wrap up this episode, let's recap some of the key takeaways.
Yes, so to communicate effectively, we need to structure our thoughts. Remember the PSR method. Point, support, repeat.
It's a game changer.
It is. And we need to use linking words and phrases to create a smooth flow. And we have to be mindful of our tone and pronunciation.
Because how you say something can be just as important as what you say.
Right. And we need to be polite and persuasive, using modal verbs to soften our language and invite discussion.
And we need to use powerful sentence structures to highlight our key points.
And remember, it's not all about you. We need to understand our listener's perspective and listen actively to what they have to say.
Exactly. And manage our emotions, use visuals and analogies, be sensitive to cultural differences, simplify complex thoughts, pay attention to our body language, build our vocabulary, and be conscious of our pausing and pacing.
Phew, that's a lot.
It is, but it's all so important. So think about a time when you felt truly heard and understood by someone. What made that experience so powerful? How can you bring those elements into your own communication style?
That's something to ponder.
It is. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the art of being understood. If you enjoyed this conversation, please give the video a like and share it with someone who might find it helpful.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more insightful content like this.
We love hearing from you, so please leave your thoughts and questions in the comments below.
Until next time, keep communicating with clarity, confidence, and compassion.
And remember, the goal is not just to be heard, but to be truly understood.